Okay, people, it is Wednesday. It is 1:01. It is the 16th of December. And this is my last video. And yes, it is the last section of my racist rant. I'm not going to reflect on Donald Trump because it's old and we need to just go on and let nature take its course. I'm going to say that all of my racist experiences hasn't always been bad, but there's been more bad than good. And if you've been watching the other 4 or 5 videos that is before this, then you know where I'm coming from. One thing we gotta understand as people that race will always be a sensitive subject, and the only reason that it's a sensitive subject is because no one wants to sit down and talk about it. And when we do try to talk about it, blood boils over. And instead of sitting there and finding out why our blood is boiling over, we just want to get madder and madder and madder until somebody decides they want to punch somebody in the mouth. I'm okay with deciding to punch someone in the mouth. Is it correct? Not always. You gotta have a pretty good reason to have somebody punch you in the mouth. No. And in truth, there really is no reason for you to put your hands on anyone. But people probably should be a little bit more careful about the things that fly out their mouth. You know. And like I said in the other videos, if they said it, they meant it on some level or another, or they would not have said it. So, I was talking about why I make movies and why I was making movies or why I wasn't, my stories always had someone of a different or multicultural ethnic background. One reason that is like I said, there's not enough heroes for guys like me and granted, thank you, Dwayne Johnson, because you're doing it. You're making people realize, hey, there can be a half-breed hero. There can be a hero to follow through with what Bruce Lee was saying about, giving his people a hero. And, granted, he started a revolution. I'm not going to get on Bruce Lee because it's my hero and I'll never get off. I'm also not going to get on Native American heroes that people haven't explored making movies about, which is kind of shocking that Adam Beach and Benjamin Bratt and Graham Greene haven't formed some kind of Native American movie league and came out with movies about Coyote the Trickster. I mean, we did a Geronimo movie a few years back. That was cool with West Studi and all that. But what about our Native American legends? What about the Thunderbird? What about making movies about things like that that have a cultural mythology to it in all Native American cast? So, since I'm on racism, I love you, Joan Chen, and I know that you're Chinese. However, you did play a Native American in a movie with Steven Seagal. And I respect that, especially once I found out that Native Americans are actually Asian people. And since Asian people actually dominate the entire world, which people don't seem to understand, but it is what it is. Also, Vivian Wu played Native American and Eskimo in one of those Tales from the Crypts. She played a little drum beater. I think it was Tales from the Crypts. It was either Tales from the Crypts or Tales from the Dark Side. Stories, stuff that I watch, scary stuff. I'm into scary stuff. And unfortunately, black people don't seem to last long in most scary movies. So, when I make my movies, they're not anti black, but they're also not like Spike Lee where they're super black, where everybody's in there is black. There's maybe one white person, one token white person in the film or whatever. And they're always playing a teacher or somebody just passing through. Okay, I want to give everybody in my movies a shot, regardless of whatever the fuck color there is. I prefer to stick to the script, but you kind of got to take what you can get. And most of my movies, we deviate so far from the script. Everything's basically improv. So if you're watching one of my films and you're like, what the fuck? Okay, well, like I said, the script is giving us a story basis of A to Z. Anything that happens in between, we talk the scene through, and then we come up with fresh or realistic as possible dialogue. So it's not exactly scripted, but what we do in the thing is scripted. So when I'm putting it together, I know what the fuck we're doing. With the exception of my movie that's sitting somewhere in Alabama with somebody who stole it. I hope you struck by lightning. I'm sorry. I know that was wrong. I don't give a damn because stealing is wrong and you shouldn't have stole my shit. Anyway, because you have like my best shit. You have like the best. Everything's perfect wherever it is. And I don't have it. Okay. So if you're watching my movies, if you just watch it for the martial arts, then you'll have a good time. If you're watching it for movie and characterization and dialogue, you probably won't have a good time. So let's get back on the subject at hand. Subject at hand, before I carry my black ass to bed this morning, was racial things and racial themes. And, as you can look behind me, Japanese no mask, you know, most of the Japanese people know what that's for. It's kind of like a Native American dream catcher, etc., etc. And the thing is, culturally, some Japanese cultures uh, reveal demons as heroes. Okay, that's cool. And some Chinese cultures do the same thing with like the fox fairies and stuff like that. And the thing about cultural divide, there's not much difference between a cultural divide and a racist divide. So when you look and you start insulting people on their race or their culture, you're only shorting yourself because you haven't sat there and tried to absorb what these people have been raised to know or what anyone has been raised to know. A lot of people, and I'm going to defend my white family now, a lot of people that are black or Asian strongly believe that white people's sole purpose in the world is like to divide, conquer, and destroy and dominate and be the superior race. Okay, for those people who do believe in that and want to roll over top of everybody and whatever, okay, those things do happen. Like I said, there are assholes in every ethnic background, not just whites, not just blacks, not just Native Americans, Asians, etc., etc. The thing is, we don't have to be assholes about it. We can just chill. Or as the ladies' new phrase now, Netflix and chill. Now, many, many years ago, I don't know how I got involved in this, and maybe I do, but when I was in high school, there was some African cats. It was in my high school, and they told me that I could never survive in Africa because they don't like half breeds. But his hair was as curly as mine. I'm like, but your hair is just as curly as mine. He's like, yeah, well, I'm from Africa. They know I'm African. Your skin's too light, and they know that you're mixed with something, and they don't like mixed people. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, now I never thought that that would ever come back to bite me. He was the first African that never liked me. Then I met another African. He liked me, and then a couple of more that liked me, and a couple more that didn't. Each one that I met that liked me was either in high school or in college, and I was working at the college that they were going to. I wasn't attending the college, and with the 9/11 attack and all, one of the Africans that liked me, he broke it down and said, y'all should have never thought that this wasn't gonna happen. I was like, dude, this did happen a lifetime ago at Pearl Harbor, you know. And granted, our retaliation was just as evil as the terrorists today, but it's done. It's a sin that we can't wash away. It's done. And the thing is, these foreign students come here, and I'm not saying this because they're foreign. I'm saying this because they treated me like dog shit. Uh, One of the African girls who worked at the DML, I'm not gonna say her name. Yeah, I don't put names out on blast. Plus, I can't pronounce it anyway. I know it starts with an A. Her and the other guy who had like beady plaits, they didn't like me. I never did anything to them other than come in their little area with Bruce to work on my films. And she immediately like took to hating me. I don't know why. I mean, she's a pretty girl, but she just hated me. And she's like, in my country, we don't have a lot of, I guess, half breeds running around in Africa. I guess they separate but equal there. They're like not up to speed on what's going on in America because we have mixed people here and we're proud of it. Anyway, okay, that was probably a stretch. Maybe I'm just proud to be mixed, but anyway. So she jumped down my throat like almost every time I come in here to operate. She's like, man, I don't want to help him. And if Bruce left and she was in charge, she'd have to help me. And she could not stand me. She hated working with me. She would try to find an assistant to help me, even though it was like her specialty. She would teach someone else so that they could teach me how to do it. I mean, she really just hated me because a lot of Africans just don't like black people. And it was cool. And then the black guy who was African, he also couldn't stand me. And the third guy, he was like a really tall guy, and I won't mention his name, but he was African, and he liked me. He was cool. He's the one I talked to about the Hiroshima thing. And then I met another dude that worked with me who was African, and he has a Japanese name. Hold up, Yoko. Hope you remember me. He liked me, and Lewis, who was also in one of my movies, my first movie, Fallen Dragons, he liked me. So I had three that liked me, and like four who just couldn't stand me. And then once on the wheelchair team, we went to Canada, and the people from Trinidad, we got to talking with them, and it's like, yeah, they had just played Africa um, before they came to Canada, and I think the African team like refused the invitation or they didn't get one. I really don't know. It could have been racial, you know. I mean, I'm not Canadian. Um, I'm pretty sure it wasn't racial because damn near every team has come to the Canadian tournament at least once, maybe twice, and they haven't done it in a while, and I don't know why. I think Mr. Bryson probably is just broke. I don't know, but anyway, all the tournaments that was at the Etobicoke, Choke, there was multiculturalness in there. There was like people from everywhere, and it's like the whatever week that Canadian holiday is, and it's like from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It's like 4 or 5 days. We're up there for like for almost a week. No, we're actually up there for a week because it's kind of like you get there, you leave on Tuesday, 12-hour drive. You get there basically Wednesday morning. Then you cross the border by Thursday. First game's played Thursday. Second game's Friday. It's a tournament like maybe 50 teams or better. So anyway, we were talking to the people from Trinidad, and yeah, we were in a strip club. I'm not gonna lie about it. We were in a strip club. We were all enjoying the little white girl with the little jiggly room. And so it's like, dude, you don't look like you're a normal black person. It's like, yeah, I'm not. I'm mixed. It's like, yeah. Do you get problems with Africans? I say, yeah, Africans don't like me. And they're like, hey, well, guess what? Africans don't like anybody who's not fucking African. I said, is that for real? And he's like, yeah. So, all those years back when I was a kid and everybody's like, you don't like America, I'll go back to Africa. Kind of find out that that's really not for us. It's just really bad. And I'm not African bashing. I'm just telling you what happened to me. You don't like this, you know where you can leave the comments. And my retort to that is pick the one in the middle. Anyway, just in case kids are watching. I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, your ancestors sold out my ancestors, and you don't like us. It's not our fault. We didn't ask to be sold into slavery. That's kind of like a clusterfuck. Well, anyway, so they were telling me, like, all right, I don't know where the hell Trinidad and Tobago is, but I know it's somewhere like in the Caribbean or something. And then the Jamaican team had came up there with these guys, and they were all drinking in the strip club with me and Rick and Jeff and whatever. So we're all in the strip club, and they were like, yeah. They all started, like, the Jamaicans and the guys from Trinidad were like, yeah, man, the Africans, man, we just cannot deal with them. The Africans, they just hate anybody who's not from fucking Africa. And it's like, what about white Africans? It's like, no, white Africans don't have a problem with us. It's just those black colored Africans that are just, and I'm like, I'm hearing this come from a guy who's brown or darker than me. He's of African ethnicity, but he's from Trinidad. So he was born in Trinidad, and I guess they don't count them as Africans because of, when the slaves came across the Atlantic, uh, some of them were transported down further south to the Caribbean. So that's how you have black Caribbean people or whatever. And same thing with black Brazilians and stuff like that. They're all basically from Africa. The only tribe of black people that aren't from Africa that we have scientifically proven have never been to Africa were Aborigines. So I guess when man first started walking the earth and Earth wasn't split into the continents, it probably like got separated somewhere in there. I'm probably giving a real bad analogy of this, but so I'm like, all my life I've always thought that shit was a myth, but it's not a myth. I'm like, damn, I thought they just didn't like black Americans, but clearly they just don't like anybody who's black that's not from Africa. Okay, so to correct this problem, I tell everybody, okay, well, that's their opinion. It's their world too. Let them have it. But we don't have to follow suit and not like them because they don't like us. have African friends I haven't seen in about 20 years, like Yoko and the guy who liked me at the DML. And I still like them. I don't know if their opinion have changed. It probably will change after this video, but hey man, it's it's a free world, you know, and I will still bleed for you if I have to. The thing with racism though is that it is a subject that is so not touched out of fear. So let me quickly get to this so I can go to bed. If you live in fear, you will die in fear. If you cause chaos in your fear, this is how you get the Columbines and the Blacksburg and things like that. Speaking of that, while I'm here in Virginia and this is my home state, Blackbird's like our backyard, just like an hour and some change away. Go Hokies. I was at work when a little Korean fella decided he wanted to go off on his little shooting spree in Blacksburg. And this is not truly a racist moment. But when I came to work, they thought that I was that guy. And I was like, dudes, I don't look that damn Asian. And then they compared me because I used to wear glasses. I still have them somewhere. Not my BCGs. But they like, and I had short hair. It's like, if your skin was a couple of tones lighter, you could pass for that guy. So there's just one problem. I don't fuck with guns. I never really liked guns, even when I got into the military. I never really liked guns, and it's probably because I'm a piss poor shooter. But the fact I like handguns. This guy used a machine gun type thing, you know, and that was wrong. And it was the same thing like the 2 years before that when I was in Canada and the guy in Montreal. We were in Toronto the night that he claims the Wendigo possessed him and he started killing people on the bus. Okay, yeah, we were up there. I still have the newspaper clippings out in the shed somewhere. And I was like, damn, we were actually thinking about going to Montreal that weekend. Like, while the game was going on, we were going to sneak off. So, luckily, we didn't, and I'm still here. Thank you, Rick. So, the thing with racism is that we're all so scared to sit in a room and take two people, one of each gender, and of each ethnic background, and each cultural divide, and sit in that room and get all the racial error out in the open. This will basically solve this problem. Because when you think about it, we all love our families. We all bleed red. We all have to eat. We all have to shit. And we all have to bathe. And we have to drink if we want to stay alive. Not alcohol, just water. But if we put all of what we love about our own cultures on that table, there's no fucking difference. We all love our families. We all love to eat. We all love to bathe. We love our children. We want our children to live in a peaceful world where there's no wars, where kids can go to school and be happy, and there's no race of people shunning them because your skin's darker or your skin's lighter. We all want that for our kids. The problem is no one wants to admit that they want that for their kids. So then you have these old hats that don't know how to shut the fuck up, which spins the circle in the wrong direction. And then that's what causes problems with race. So in closing, I'm going to try to end this quickly. I have never, ever in my life judged someone for the color of their skin. I'm not going to say I haven't had a prejudice moment. Yes, I have. I have called a white person out of their name. And most of the time it was because it was something that I was taught from the fucking Jeffersons TV show. Now, at home, my mom would have slapped me in my mouth if I ever used the H word on a white person. At school, when I was called a nigger, thank you, Mr. Garrett, for not expelling me for hitting her in the mouth. It was the same thing. At home, we never used that word. And in the summertime, when I was with my grandmother, I never heard the word chief or squaw or any racial innuendo that would like really hurt someone's feelings. Yeah, I didn't know nothing about that dumb shit. And if I live long enough to have children, I will teach them their culture, but I won't let them be racist. And this is the thing that everybody should take home with them after watching this. You can teach your kids your culture. There's nothing wrong with teaching your kid about Coyote the Trickster because they're not going to teach them that in school. You know, if you're Native American, there's nothing wrong with teaching them about Bigfoot and the Deer Woman and the Thunderbird. There's nothing wrong with that. And this is for Native Americans. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, a lot of the pale-faced children and the black children aren't going to understand that shit, but you know, they can learn it too. And if you learn it and you teach it correctly, it doesn't become racist. It becomes magical. Now, same thing with the other cultures. But you have to teach the good with the bad. You know, for the longest time, up until I like seeing Roots and got to reading things in history class and got to college, I never knew that black tribes sold out other black tribes. It's taught in school from history class that the white man went to Africa and brought us over here, which is not 100% true. That's only like 39% of it. That other 75% is that the big tribes sold out the little tribes so that all of the big tribes wouldn't be taken because of superior firearms. Okay, now when they got over here, whoever survived the trip, then it was auction time. And now let's go further back, which, with all due respect to China and its people, if Marco Polo would have never been able to steal gunpowder and noodles out of there, a lot of the wars waged in America or anywhere would have never happened. So we all kind of contributed to making the world this horrible place in which we had to live in because we got gunpowder from China and we got noodles. I don't really like noodles, but I hear they taste great. Sometimes I eat them, but I don't like spaghetti. We have weapons. Every culture has made weapons. Native Americans, whites, blacks, everyone. And every culture has had spears. Now, as far as I know, there is no legend of Native American dragons. Dragons were on the other side of the world. They apparently never existed on our side of the world. And for all we know, dragons and dinosaurs could be one and the same. No one's really gone that far into genetic detail, and no one's cloned one, thank God, so we won't be able to find out if those damn things could breathe fire. Now, the thing about the racism in the world, we allow it. Because no one stands up and says, hey man, think before you speak. No one does that. And no one cares. And that's where it all boils down to. No one cares. So when we get sensitive about it, it's because no one cares enough to stop it before it starts. They just, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and say this shit. I'm going to pull a Donald Trump. I think that we should ban all Muslims leaving and coming into the country if they're freaking refugees. Okay, mister, I'm going to ask this to everyone. If the Native Americans weren't peaceful in the beginning and let people come into this country on boats escaping the tyranny of their country, where would America be right now? I probably wouldn't be mixed, since I have probably more Native American blood than black and white blood. So, you know, a lot of tribes got put on reservations when America came. Granted, we helped pioneer most of America, and then Chinese came and they helped build most of the railroads with the help of John Henry. And you know, we all made this country great, not despite our races and despite our differences, but the strength we found to pioneer the country in general. Granted, it was on the blood and backs of a lot of people who really didn't see this coming and was completely blindsided, which mostly means Native American tribes and stuff. But as time progressed and as things went on, things got better, things got worse. It was a big conundrum of, okay, so who has more superior firepower? So let's go to where the British or the Redcoats fought America before the Civil War. You know, you guys used Native American tactics and Paul Revere. So when you think about this stuff, you know, the Americans, you know, we weren't the only ones who had racist issues. We're just the only ones who kept them. And the thing about racism in general is that racism is only a problem because we allow it. You know, I'm not saying that there should be penalties for people coming out there about their freedom of speech opinion, because you have that right. First Amendment, freedom of speech. Second Amendment, right to bear arms. But they're always talking about how do psychos keep getting arms. Well, generally, I hate to be the one to break it to everybody, but most of the people who are psycho don't commit crimes until they're pushed to that limit. And as a person who was bullied at school, I'm probably the exception to the rule. Because I'll be the first to tell you, there have been many times in school where I have wanted to come to school and just take out a lot of bullies. However, that won't change the fact that they bullied me. No, all it does is change the fact that I wasn't being heard, and that would make me be heard. If we sit back and listen to the kids that were like me that were bullied, there would be less problems. People wouldn't be trying to kill each other all the time. But no one wants to hear that the little kid that can't really stand up for himself. I'm so glad I took martial arts and that I learned to stand up for myself so that I wouldn't keep getting taken down. I'm not going to say that that's a way to resolve a problem. It is a way to kind of resolve a problem. But, you know, face looks funny, sorry. The thing with anything, there's a resolution to every problem if we're all willing to listen, put aside our differences until we go home. You know, be racist at home. But when you're out in society, respect people. No one, and I mean no one, can help what family they're born into. No one can help what ethnicity they're born into. And most of the time, no one has enough money to change it. Okay? I mean, if you got millions of dollars and you can turn me white, cool. I'm willing to try that. But I'm okay with where I am. But there will be people who are willing to do that. You know, and if you could sell your soul to the devil and change your ethnicity or your gender, do you know how many people would jump at the chance to do that? Millions. And I'd probably be in that line too. You know, and the thing is, no one on earth, before they're born, can pick their parents or their race. But you can pick who you're going to be when you get old enough to become an adult and a productive member of society. You can pick to be that guy that's not that racist son of a bitch. You can pick to be that guy who's going to be CEO of a big company and say, you know what? I need more blacks in here. I need more whites in here. I need more Asians in here. I need more Mexicans in here. And I don't want to give them the pissy any mail call jobs like that little poodle thing. You know, back when those Magic the Gathering cards or whatever the hell, there's a mail call. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want them to have those little pissy Andy jobs. I want those motherfuckers in charge. I want them to branch out to their people so that I can get their people working with me in a peaceful manner. No. And that way, it won't be like, now I get to pull a Kill Bill. As your leader, in a respectful manner, from time to time, and anyone who brings up my Native American heritage, when my blackness is a negative, is I collect your fucking head, that kind of thing. It wouldn't need to be that way if everyone just remembers three things. You can't help who you're born into. Whatever family, whether black, white, Asian, whatever, you can't help that shit. That's a fact of life. 2, you can't help your gender. That's a fact of life. And 3, most importantly, we all bleed red. I don't want to cut my wrist and have the next guy cut his wrist to prove that, but it's the truth. We all bleed red. Granted, there's some scientific knowledge in there somewhere, but we all bleed red. And the thing is, we all love our families. We all love whatever religion we believe in. And we all love cultures and food. And for those who don't try other cultures and food, you know, maybe you ought to give it a chance. You might actually learn something and you might actually enjoy it. So, you know, if we can get rid of all the negative bullshit that I mentioned and get all of our shit together and remember that we all bleed red, then there is no issue other than the fact that TV violence is entertainment. And if we teach our kids right from the jump, then it can stay up from entertainment. It won't cost people their lives. And we have to teach our kids consequences. And in closing, The one more important thing that everybody's gonna hate me for, and they're gonna tag the shit out of this. We need to bring the ass whooping back to the house. The government, I'm a former military soldier. I salute the government. But this is the one thing that I despise. And it's probably not the government itself, it's probably just like a state thing. We need to be able to whoop our kids when they're wrong. We need to be able to beat their ass, whether it's in public, whether it's at home, whether it's at the fucking schools. We need to be able to whoop their ass. Because if we can whoop their ass, there'll be less kids going to jail. Because they'll know that there's consequences for their actions. There'll be less teenage pregnancies. There'll be less abortions. There'll be a lot less of everything once you let us take control of what's going on in our families, in our houses. Because I got my ass beat. I have had mad speeding tickets. I will not lie about that. I've had mad speeding tickets. But I've never been detained. I've been handcuffed a couple of times, but I've never been detained for a long, outstanding period of time. So, in closing, if we can just get things right and stop being dicks, you know, we can make this world a fucking utopia where people pretend to fight for entertainment, where people are ready to take the next generation off of Earth to Mars and beyond the stars. And until we get our shit together, it's not going to happen. So I'm not going to see that in my lifetime. But for the kids and anybody who's actually watching this, and it could be tomorrow, 15 years from tomorrow, remember that. If we can work together and move beyond the Earth and into the stars and become friends with everything out there in the known and unknown universe, the universe of peace is far better than the universe of death and racism. So, in closing, let's work together for peace. Let's work together to find out what's out there, not just what's on Earth. Let's not just explore Earth. Let's not just explore the human psyche. Let's not just explore the human being itself. But if I water on Mars, so the next step within the next 15 to 20 years is to get some kids up there who are engineering geniuses, engineering marvels, people who can get us artificial gravity units, people who can give us artificial air, people who can actually make the soil up there fertile to get the environment so that people can start moving on Mars. Colonizing. That's the next best step. Colonization. Space stations and colonizations. We need you guys to be engineers. We don't need you engineers listening to the propaganda from ISIS and becoming terrorists. We need you guys to use your brains to get us off the planet so that we can get on Mars. And then we can go beyond Mars and we can reach planet X and keep on hitting until we hit the next galaxy. And once we find out what's further out in the galaxies in the universe, we can find ways of making our people better. In closing, I'm James Williams Jr. Domo arigato.